Hello everybody, my name is Bob, and this is Desperate Space Program. Picture, if you will, I'm doing a Rod Sterling thing. Picture, if you will, a poor country locked in an ideological struggle with a richer, more powerful country. They have managed to do some space firsts. Got the first satellite up. But seeing as how they don't have a lot of money and they only have one rocket booster, and they can't afford to get a new one, they're in a position where they're trying to continually one-up this other country, their ideological enemy, using the same boosters. So it has now come time. They've launched men into space now. It has now come time to try to put a man on the moon, but they still have the one same booster. That's, sort of a good satellite launcher, but it's not really much beyond that. They've been able to land soft land a probe with a bunch of flags on it. Managed to do that first, but their enemies are catching up, and their enemies have a lot more money. So in order to keep on besting their ideological enemies and rubbing their nose in it, they have to continue to figure out ways of doing greater firsts in space with the same rocket. This is the booster. I've just put a little nose cone on top here just for grins. This is the booster. This is what they have to launch everything into space with. And it's a good little booster for launching satellites. But they're going to try to put a man on the moon with it. Now there's a little bit of a catch to the whole man on the moon thing, which is they believe, they're not sure, they believe they can probably put a man on the moon. They don't believe they can bring him back. So what they're going to do is that first, before first of all, the astronaut volunteer for this is a condemned convict who would otherwise be facing the firing squad. So he graciously accepted the opportunity to be a space hero instead, and so he's going to be launched to the moon to stay for a while. Now, they're not trying to kill the guy. They're hoping to figure out one day to bring him home. So they're going to have to get some sort of habitat on the moon and keep on launching habitats filled with supplies to keep him going while they figure out while they find the funds for a better booster. So that is what Desperate Space Program is about. Now you may be asking about what's happening with Journey into Space. Pretty much most of the time these days, what I've been playing is Skyrim. When I have the inspiration to play a little KSP, I just have to go with whatever it is that I have the inspiration to do. And although I know we've left our astronaut on Ike with the idea of sending him further out into space, this is what I wanted to do in KSP right now. So I mean, you kind of have to go along with whatever the momentary whim of what I find interesting in KSP. And right now, this is what I'm finding interesting in KSP. Now this stuff here is I thought that the normal landing launch structures, these things look too high tech for these folks. So we're going with a home built launch structure here. Now this is just the booster itself. Let's see. The thing that we're trying to get to the MUN is this thing, a storage / living space, the Luna crash pad. However, this thing ain't going to go to the moon. It's too heavy. So we've got to figure out a way to. This isn't going to work either. I'm going to put a docking port up there. Nope, that's not going to work because that's where the ladder is. There we go. Yes, he doesn't need to have a communications with home. That's entirely optional. I will stick it over here. This thing might get to orbit, but it sure as hell ain't going to go to the moon. So we're going to need to put a... and the name of this mod... it's Piccolo Aerospace. I forget what the actual name of the mod is. I'll try to find it and put a link in the description. We're going to need to put a docking port on this so we can hopefully get it into orbit. I'm not even positive that I can get this thing into orbit with this tiny little booster. We're going to try, and then we're going to try to launch up another a refueling spacecraft to dock here and refill the core stage. Hopefully I'll be able to retain the core stage, otherwise it's probably not going to work. So we refill the core stage, at least partially. Use that to send it to the moon, and then use this little tiny engine here as the sort of terminal descent engine. Terminal, hopefully not literally. And we're not going to put any guy in there. Although in theory it would let us put a guy in there, but I figure for the sake of realism, we need to send this up unmanned. So, yeah. I guess let's go and see if we can get this thing to get orbit. Of course, I guess if this thing can't make orbit, I've got a bit of a problem because I'm stuck with the same booster any way you look at it. So the part from here down has got to be the same. So we'll see how this works. There's no SAS on this, so this should be interesting. In 3, 2, 1. Yes, interesting. A bit on the wobbly side. Otherwise, all systems appear to be nominal. This thing has a tendency to make explosions at different stages of its flight plan. That's nothing to be alarmed about, hopefully. Okay, fuel consumption is way up from what I would hope it to be at this altitude. So it's maybe real iffy. And the guy really needs something of this size to have some reasonable chance of living, you know, on the moon. They're not sadists. They're not trying to... Whoopsies. Flipped over. I get too busy talking. It very much remains to be seen whether this is going to work. Well, basically, we established low Kerbin orbit. We have to keep we have to do it all on the core stage, because we're going to have to refill that to get this thing to the Mun. So even though there is an upper stage on that, that's only for landing on the Mun. It is not for any kind of propulsion before just the last minute propulsion before landing. See, right here there's a stage, but that's really not for anything but the last few thousand meters, really, of landing. Control obviously kind of sucky because there's no SAS. No SAS module, I should say. Alright, how are we doing? Not well. Don't believe this thing's going to make it to orbit. Be a freaking miracle if it did. What I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer the fuel from here to here. And you see there's not that much fuel there. I'm going to transfer the fuel from here to here. Okay. By some miracle, with a little shifting of fuel, I've actually made orbit. There's going to be a limited amount of fuel that I can actually take back up here. Probably not enough to fill this whole thing. So, yeah, getting this thing to the moon will still be problematic. Yes, little problematic. Might as well go ahead and inflate this. Test inflation. Crew report. There's somebody in there. Okay. Deploy. There shouldn't be anybody in there. No, it's empty. Okay, well, we got to get a fuel tank up there using the same booster. Can't kind of stuck with the same basic booster configuration. And we'll see how that goes. All right, here's a refueler. Let's see if we can get this into orbit. Should be a lot easier than the other one. You may remember I used to have a series called the Cheapo Space Program, which is sort of similar. Similar basic premise. But in this case, I'm not going to try to create a Duna ship with these kind of parts. That's just crazy. But I am going to get this guy, hopefully get this guy's shelter to the moon, and if so, get himself to the moon. And just keep on bringing him stuff. You know, he's never going home. You know, pretty much. If they told him he was going home, they would figure out a way. But it remains to be seen. it's feeding in kind of in reverse order here. Oh, that's all fed out. Okay. What else? It's all very purposely sort of low tech, or at least low booster tech anyway. Yeah, getting ready for our gravity turn. And gravity turn. Oh, these are all empty now. No, it's not. Go on. Because of the kind of decoupler I'm using, the engines don't stop when these things run out of gas, so I have to manually decouple it. And there's usually an explosion about this point, so please don't be alarmed. See, I told you, nothing to be alarmed about. All right, let's take a look at where we're at. That is Space Station W. This is the target here. Probably had to pop up a little bit above him. Thus far, all systems are nominal. We'll have a reasonable amount of fuel in the core stage, so that hopefully almost all this fuel can be sent to the habitation module to land on the moon. Moon. And again, there's no SAS module. Probably could have spared to add one, but once this core booster is separated, I'm probably not going to miss it that much. The probe core has a small SAS on it, but not a lot. Not a lot. Excuse me. Okay, red bed. Meow. Meow. Now. Meow. Now. Meow. Oh. How are we doing on the core stage here? We're going to run out of fuel on the core stage, in fact. Oh, well, that's going to limit how much fuel we can get back in this thing. Well, c'est la vie. Yeah, we only need enough fuel. How much fuel is that, you may ask? I don't know. Okay, we're getting up into orbit. Alright, we're up in orbit. Okay, now we need to set that as target. And get us a little inclination change going on. I'll kind of do all that behind the scenes. How about that? Okay, we're getting ready for docking, and of course we're docking at night. Naturally. Wouldn't be KSP if we weren't docking at night. Okay, plenty of clearance there, though I'll back off just a tad. Okay. Gonna put on fine controls. Okay. Get it lined up this way. And rotate a little bit. Okay. Move it up a little bit. No, actually we're moving up too fast. Let's just kind of bring it on in. Okay. Bam. There we are. Bam. There we are. Okay. Gotta refuel the that's full of fuel. Okay, we gotta refuel the lander first because obviously we can't can't skip on the lander fuel. It's gonna be difficult enough to land this thing on that one little engine without having enough fuel. Okay. And then there. Okay. And the rest of the fuel goes in here. You see actually it's kind of moving a little bit due to the fluids moving around. That's not a ton of fuel to get us to moon on. We just have to see how it goes. And this is totally empty, right? Go ahead and this thing doesn't have any RCS on it, so I can't transfer any RCS unless there's some RCS in here. Nope. Okay. I guess we'll go ahead and undock. And next time we will attempt to fly The our lunar habitat for our convict slash prisoner, convict slash astronaut, so he can have a place to live and supplies and so forth. We'll try to get that to the moon, and hopefully that will work. Probably that's going to be enough for lunar departure. I'm not absolutely sure, but may well be enough. That's probably enough to get it down to the ground if I have a little luck. Much depends on luck. This thing doesn't have any fuel in it or anything. No such luck. All right. And I'll put as always, I'll put all the links to the mods in the description. That's all for right now. And until next time on Desperate Space Program, hasta la vista. Adios! The one and only Jebediah Kerman about to risk death by flying under the nerd tunnel. Will he make it? Will he die spectacularly? Only time will tell. No one has ever flown under the nerd tunnel and lived. Will Jebediah Kerman be the first one to fly under the nerd tunnel and tell the story of how he came back alive? Jebediah Kerman in his specially designed flying car, about to attempt what no man has ever survived before, flying through the nerd tunnel. Wish him luck. Our prayers go with him. Hey nerds! Jebediah Kerman successfully flying underneath the nerd tunnel, but not successfully resisting the attempt to show off. Hope there's nobody out there where those projectiles are flying now. But hey, Jebediah is safe. Jebediah Kerman, everyone! Yay!